well there by those queens, and even the drop in the back getting cleared up.
This was like TY really taxing the splitting prowess of Armani here, but Armani very good, very much on top of that. I gotta say, I'm quite impressed with how Armani dealt with that, because I thought that was a very intelligent attack from TY.
Yes.
Who, by the way, was he going into mech? Yes, he is.
Yeah, it's going to be a mech-focused Cloaked Banshees coming out. Cloak just about to finish as the second Banshee is in production. No Spore at the natural, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that was the third base, but maybe a little bit light on that could open up some avenues for TY to get some damage in.
Yeah, that could be a real issue. Looks like another Spore is going down on that very far right side, so kind of like an anti-drop Spore, kind of zoning things out. You're right, though, the natural doesn't have detection at the moment. Layer a little over half done. But it seems like he's being a little bit slow with moving the Banshees down. Maybe he wants to hit all at once.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things like carriers used to be, where if you pool them up and then unleash them, it's like, oh my goodness, that's actually just so powerful. You can't do that with the Banshees. Like, I don't know. I always think, you know, you need to get them out there and do the damage, especially just now that Cloak has finished up. We'll see if he can find a way to get that in there.
Overlord trying to figure out what's going on. With only one Marine shooting, I think Armani's starting to figure out that this could be a mech play for sure, with the amount of Hellions coming out as well. But the Banshees are cloaked up and starting to move around a little bit. That Spore repositioning itself, and Hellbats into the main base.
All right, some more Hellions coming in here, getting at least 1-2 drones so far, but really have not been extremely effective at dealing with that worker harass. Some nice bailing hits, though, but splitting the last two will make that difficult, or at least cost inefficient to deal with.
Yeah, TY trying to do as best he can, splitting them up, putting them in little chokes. But Armani so far, this has been pretty flawless on how he's defended everything. He's taken almost no damage. We'll have to see if TY can actually pull something together. He has a lot of Hellions right now, but now there's Roaches on the way.
Yeah, I mean, he's at a decent worker count, too. Still has 60, even though he's lost a few to that Hellbat harass. It actually just looks pretty good. So, I mean, Armani's... I don't know. I haven't seen too many holes in his play. He's split his army recently, and I was actually talking to you about that earlier, Artos.
Yeah, you were.
One of the most impressive things to me, just as a commentator, you know, we have omniscient vision. We can see all the stats, all the production, everything. So theoretically, we should be able to see exactly when a player can win a game.
Yeah.
But it just so consistently amazes me how impeccably players are able to judge, oh, I need just this many units to kill this guy. I need to defend this drop by sending, you know, 8 Zerglings, not 10. It makes a big difference.
Well, this speaks to just how hard these pro gamers train, really. Like, it just comes from mass practice, and we see that quite often. But hold on, we actually have a huge attack coming in. Those Cyclones in the back dealing a massive amount of damage, but Ling split up into 3 locations by Armani. Some solid harassment by him, and he will end up holding this as well.
Yeah, it looks like Armani's Roaches are able to push back even the Cyclones off to the back, which I thought we were actually just going to be able to deal with that. And while, yeah, that Liberator is actually getting some decent damage done, if you look at the Ling harass, it's been infinitely more effective.
Yeah.
Almost 30 SCVs going down.
Wow, this is a really big deal right now. Armani has deflected every single blow. This is not the most common style that you're going to see out of Terran, so it really speaks to Armani's like strength and intelligence that we were talking about earlier. He's one of these smart macro Zergs. I'm very impressed with this, and I bet you TY is as well. He's looking at this saying, I very well may lose this game.
Yeah,
Swarm Hoster on the way! Oh! Just to cut you off there.
If that's not a get-out move, I don't know what it was. We had somebody asking questions about that in our bunker show earlier.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
that's literally what I said was like, why don't we see Swarm Host? Well, you got to play it against something slower like mech so they have time to build their value, and that's what we're going to see. The Swarm Host harassment is going to do fantastically against mech, whereas you're playing against Bio, like they clear a wave, they stim forward, and your units aren't used for a very long time. You're going to end up losing that game. But this is awesome to see that he's going to have these Swarm Hosts out there. Very powerful against mech. I'm so much in love with Armani. Like, I liked him before. You know, we've talked a lot about this. I've seen a lot of his games, or not a whole lot because he hasn't been in GSL that much, but enough that he's a great player to watch, right? But this type of play, like, so smart, great defense. He's got the 4 bases. Look at that creep spread. This is awesome.
Yeah, and TY's trying to scan and figure out what's happening, but here come the Scarabs all the way into the main base, and now TY knows he's about to take a lot of damage.
Oh, man. Splitting those up a little bit, sending them right into that mineral line. The SCVs do have to be pulled, and of course, a bunch of these add-ons going to be taken out very easily. That's free damage. They haven't paid for themselves yet, but they will be all over the place doing this over and over.
Yeah, and even though these swarm hosts are kind of shadows of their former self, from previous expansions, they still actually deal so much damage, able to get over that wall with the flying scarabs and just be so annoying to deal with. And like you said, very cost-effective, very good against this slower mech army that TY is pushing out with.
Now he's going to have to utilize these swarm hosts against this push. TY is saying, okay, you have this kind of weird unit right now. That is a ton of supply, a ton of money put into swarm hosts. They have to gain some value for him in this fight.
And here we go, just putting those free units forward, very cost effective, and here comes Armani pushing TY back.
Very well done, and now they land as well, adding their damage. He's got to pull back as they're dying, though. Those are going to soak up your damage with this army. TY with a very good reaction, pulling back immediately against those swarm hosts and taking as little damage from the Locusts as possible.
Well, and always cool to see against this big, slow mech push, Zerg players go out, force these tanks to siege, slow it down, and then back off once again, taking out just little tanks by little tanks and making sure those Ravagers can deal with things like Liberators being set up, and one bile short of taking that out.
Just barely not killing off that Liberator, but TY is sieging up the gold base. That's definitely something that he wants to have. But again, more Locusts coming out. TY immediately pulling back. Very swift move there by TY.
Yeah, Locust coming down. They will land here sooner or later right on top of those siege tanks. The perfect unit to deal with that, Artosis.
Yeah, really the swarm hosts, those Locusts getting on top of them, killing so much. TY pulls back, sieges up, but there are too many Roaches, too many Ravagers here, and he is going to lose his entire army.
His entire army. That's it. GG.
Damn, Armani. So good. I would absolutely go into this guy's store in airport, like, without question.
I mean, just look at what he's wearing. He's got his Haute Couture on right now, and he's looking good. Able to win his first match against arguably the favorite of the group.
Yeah, well, I think for sure the favorite of the group. This guy just won 200 grand. He's a GSL finalist. He's a bigger veteran than anyone else still playing StarCraft 2. An amazing thing that we've seen here in this first game. Guys, get out there, tell your friends, spread the word. Armani looking on point right now. Might screw this group up good.
And that's exactly. I can't even talk about the significance of being able to be a part of a tournament like this. Armani talking about how happy he was to finally, his 5th time trying, qualify for Codes. How much does this mean to him? He's been practicing very hard for it, and he's well on its way to making it out of his first best of 3, but it is a best of 3, so he still has to take one more game here against TY.
Yeah, TY with that mech play on that map. I don't think he's going to go for that again, Rapid.
Well, we'll see what he does. We get into our second game, TY versus Armani.
In the bottom right. You have to look at the mini-map for that, because it looks like bottom left. It is.
Good call there, Artosis.
Yeah.
There he is. I was looking for the mini-map. I was like, there it is, way behind the player booth over there. Well, here is our Zerg player. This is
Armani.
Indeed, it is. In case you guys hear these cheers for Armani, and maybe you're thinking to yourself, like, who is Armani? I've never seen this guy play before. He actually has this kind of fan club. He referenced this in his interview. They actually came out to the GSL qualifiers when he actually wound up qualifying. I think I saw a couple of people there that were hashtag big fans. So always cool to see players and friends get out there and support players that they are big fans of. So always nice to see some more hashtag big fans there in the audience.
Some Blizzard nerds around here. And yeah, man, it's kind of cool that Armani actually has a fan base, because it's actually kind of hard to find too many games of him playing. He just hasn't had big results yet, but he definitely is one of these strong up-and-coming macro Zergs. And that, like, basically flawless play against a strategy I don't think he would be as prepared to play against as other strategies. Very, very impressive. And like, that puts TY into kind of a difficult position here.
Right, you were talking about how much of a solid macro Zerg, and he even talked about that in his interview, but even just having the decision-making to say, oh, well, mech's a little bit weird. I might not have expected that. Let's just go Swarm Host. Perfect counter. Absolutely beautiful to watch.
Well, especially in this situation where he's already deflected so many attacks and taken so little damage while killing off a ton of Hellbats, a ton of Hellions, and then killing 30 SCVs. Like, that was such a perfect play, I would say, to go into the Stormhost, and that's like a very hard thing to say because we see so little of it. But when you calculate together all the damage he did and all the damage he deflected, the Stormhost almost give an auto win. That's why TY just starts attacking. He's like, well, I mean, these are going to gain so much value over time, and I'm behind from all these things that have happened. That's an issue.
Well, here comes the Scouting Overlord
So
in.
smart.
What's he going to see? He's looking. What's he looking for? The command center, but he hasn't actually seen it just yet. He will see his factory lift up and head on over, so Overlord worth it.
I really like this play of leaving the 2 Marines there and kind of pulling them, getting that free Overlord kill. There are some Lings on the way, but I would imagine TY, yeah, he's going to have a couple Hellions. By the way, this is actually a really important thing to point out. He was patrolling the SCV next to the factory. That makes it look like he's about to build a starport. Instead of building the starport, he made the command center after killing the Overlord. So this was a very tricky mind game by TY. If Armani's sitting here right now thinking to himself, he's thinking, there's probably a starport on the way.
And so you have to start preparing for that. Maybe he starts throwing down spore crawlers. They're not colonies anymore. But yeah, we'll have to see if he does react to that or if that was just a little bit of an attempted fake out. Either way, natural up and running, and 3rd command center almost completed. I can't see it right behind that light up there, but yeah, almost completed. He does continue to reactor out these Hellions, might even get them caught by Zerglings, but looks like, yeah, picking off at least one of them, and maybe even the second one, no, just going to get the scouting Zerglings in to see everything that TY has going on.
Super worth right there. He sees the full tech layout right now from TY, and that was a great scout as well as killing a Hellion, and now the factory is not even reactored, so there's less pressure on you. Like, everything about that was really nice. And Armani going into a 2-base Spire, this is kind of interesting. Like, this could be a reaction to, well, first off the map, of course, but the type of play that TY has been going for, right, which is Hellion-based. If he's teching up more and going like more sparsely on Marines, 2-base Muta is going to be able to control the map a little bit better. If you're just going regular bio, it's a little bit harder to play against that. And of course, the 3rd bases here are kind of attackable. It's like kind of wide open. So Hellion harassment can be hard. Stay on that 2-base a little bit longer. Almost guarantees he won't lose drones. So just a lot of different little factors, I think, coming into the fact that he's chosen this strategy.
Yeah, and actually really interesting to see a very wide variety from Armani. Didn't exactly know what to expect. He said he was more comfortable with playing longer macro games, but not more than willing to get out a high Zergling count early on and just make sure that he can make it there in game number 1. And even now, just going 2-base into that Spire. See if the mutas come out as soon as it finishes. It's done. There are roaches, or at least a roach horn on the way.
This is something we've seen just recently popping up in some of these pro games. The 2-base Muta going into the roaches. I believe, didn't we see Lee Nock do this against Cure, if I'm not mistaken?
Right. Yeah, he actually looked so impressive with that strat.
Yeah, and it was actually even specifically used on this map. So kind of cool to see, because the big problem with going 2-base Muta is oftentimes the Terran comes out and you don't quite have Baneling speed yet, or you just don't have the numbers you need to hold off that attack. But with the roaches, that really changes the math a little bit. So this is cool by Armani.
Yeah, you can already see #Worth there taking out, I think, 3 Hellions out there on the map, just limiting that presence from TY, and now even finding a few very unprotected avenues into the base. Okay, well, those are not they. The missile turrets will prevent at least the first attempt at poking into the base, but you should be able to sneak by here and find a great angle at these SCVs.
Yeah, he's actually doing some pretty decent harassment damage, and during this time, just building Roaches and Ravagers only. This attack that he's planning, it should be an attack coming up, will at minimum force a lift on that 3rd base. And this definitely could surprise TY. It's actually really good for him that he's on the map right now, so he's going to see this ahead of time, because he hasn't actually seen Roach Tech, and this is his first moment of that.
Well, he's about to find out. It's a little bit close on those bios, but that will completely push this drop, or at least force the lift there on the drop. Now, instead of going back, TY still looking for avenues to get some value done here, but Armani once again splitting his units well enough to really avoid most of this damage.
Yeah, he does have some Ravagers in here, but they're being picked off a little bit by these Marines. Great harassment by TY, kind of capitalizing on what is weak about Roaches, trying to target down one of these medevacs at the moment, but the Marines going for the Queen.
And they are going to be able to take it out there in the base, just pick up, lift up, and they are out of there. In the meantime, Muta's at least finding a decent amount of value. They will be able to take out one of those eBays. Didn't catch if that forced to cancel on the upgrade, but the other one's not spinning either, so just a nice little bit of value poking wherever he can find.
Yeah, I like TY's position. Like, strategically, this was a really cool call by Armani, but TY has done enough damage with that drop and kept him back long enough that it's feeling pretty good for TY. He just has to be very careful about the first engagement of these. I feel like this is a situation where he just has to lift and run away for a moment and come out twice as strong later on.
Well, and TY knows he does not have enough to necessarily deal with that. Pushing forward, just picking off little bit by little bit, trying to take down, shave off every Ravager that he can. But like you said, yeah, this is an almost auto lift.
Yeah, well, we'll see. TY is trying to fight this as best he can, getting hit by some of these biles. Muta's coming up right now, fighting over a turret, but trying to take down this Liberator. And in fact, TY targeting him down. The Liberator stays. Definitely a bit of a mistake there by Armani, who, by the way, fails this attack.
TY overcoming everything and without enough to defend. GG.
Yeah, and I realized that it didn't turn into a lift. There were a few mistakes there, but like that was very well done by TY, and that initial harassment with the Marines, I think definitely helping him, paying off a bit. I mean, I'm surprised that the attack went as poorly for Armani as it did.
Yeah, I actually thought, just looking at the numbers, I add them up, I'm counting on my fingers over here, I'm like, well, yeah, that's actually just a lot versus not a lot. But it turns out, Liberator, lots of value, did get taken out.
Yeah, that's true.
Able to take the game.
He did fight under a Liberator there for quite some time. The Muta's coming up and not adding any actual value to that fight. I guess some of TY's Marines did target them down to make sure of that, but TY with some fantastic micro there. Definitely, I guess, a bad call saying he'd force a lift off. Generally, that will be what will happen in that type of situation, but good hold by TY, and he is playing very, very well in this game.
I was saying, well, generally it's not TY playing. That guy is pretty good. There's always, like, whenever I used to watch BN do things like either winning his GSL or BlizzCon, I would always just look at the situation and be like, oh, he's pretty far behind right now. Not, oh, he's going to lose, but I wonder how he's going to win from this position. And even things like that when TY, under pressure, is able to come up with the right abilities to take the fight.
Yeah, you know, part of it was, like, we saw such great defense from Armani in Game 1, but he did fail a little bit against a double medevac drop. He didn't split any of his Roach Ravager. It just kept going in this kind of U shape, trying to defend both locations. So there was some value there that TY was gaining, and that did kind of mess up the push overall, made it a little bit slower, and I don't know. A few little mistakes here by Armani, though, for sure.
Yeah, and you can see maybe just a little bit of a lack of polish there, and even there towards the end, the execution not on point. He didn't kill the Liberator immediately like he should have with the Biles. He got a few of his Ravagers like shaved off early on instead of respecting the Marine Ball and its ability to whittle off some of his army. So just little tiny things.
Yeah, and part of this as well, where he fought in the Liberator and everything, with this Roach-based army, it gets worse the longer the game goes on. So he wants to take the engagement right then. He wants to do it. Like, he needs to get his damage in at that moment. Wasn't able to do so, but this is a pretty good series so far going into game number 3.
And that is where it is headed, Artosis. One game away from either one of these players making it out of the group. Nice save. Armani with a very impressive, very intelligent Game 1 win, but looking a little bit shaky there in Game number 2. So this is where the pedigree matters. TY, he's been on some of the biggest stages in the world, and is performing.
And look, okay, I mean, he is the favorite, but looking at Game 1 and now Game 3, the maps, Armani could do it here on Daybreak. This is a big, good map for Zerg. Down here in the bottom left, the WESG champion, TY.
NP. There he is, yeah, very well accomplished, and I guess I'll talk about that in a second, because his opponent on the other side, radially symmetric
Armani.
Spawn location, there he is.
Radially symmetric. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's not hamburger or hot dog. It's more like spinny thing.
Oh.
There's vertically or horizontally symmetric.
Yeah, I thought it was rotationally symmetric is the correct way to say that, but I'm not sure.
Well, maybe that's if you use the 6th grade word. I graduated, Artosis.
That's so accurate, too. Like, that is so accurate of me. Anyways.
Well, you know what they say about a lot of like the best speeches, the best public speaking is done at like a 6th grade level. So it's not all about actually using all of the hard words, much to my chagrin.
No, well, I think it actually, this is definitely something that I think about from time to time, being someone who has to speak publicly, is when someone is using big words, if they're looking like they're, like if the big words really flow out of you and you actually use these words all the time, you can tell versus you're trying to sound smart. If you're trying to sound smart, that sounds like crap to me. Like, I say it like you say it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying, well, you do say it like you say it because you're actually a big nerd who went to school and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes you'll hear someone, like, try to use a big word and they'll, like, use it. It sounds funny coming out of their mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my favorite are the one-word nerds where they figure out one smart word and then they try to, like, fit it into sentences as many times as they can. I'm like, there's only so many ways you can be loquacious, guys. Keep it on the down low, you know? All right, well, second time in a row, TY's got these 2 Marines in great position. He will be able to take out this Overlord right before he throws down his building, or not.
Yeah, that was actually to spot. This is a trick when you're running away from things. You run over a part of their main base where they can't see. And but TY, so on top of it, brings his SCV up for the little alley-oop and killing Mr. Ovi off.
Yeah, man, it gets the assist there. We'll see if that SCV can come back and get any more use. Instead, he's just gonna, back to work.
You don't know. He might build the turret that defends the mutas. We don't really know what that SCV has in store for his future.
Somewhere out there, that's like the SCV version of like Pylo the Pylon. That one thing that is for some reason insanely important, but you never know. You don't always have to be like the 35-kill Reaver to be important sometimes.
Well, oftentimes a probe would be the best thing. It's like in your base harassing, and then it leaves and builds a proxy for a DT shrine that wins the game. It's like, yeah, this probe was MVP, not the DTs.
All made possible by little everyday workers. This is me like advocating the Arbite out there. If you guys are working hard every day and you come back home and you watch GSL, you are important too.
Yeah.
Not just the
most
pro
important
gamers.
people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if you just...
Well, I had somebody come up to me the other day and they're like, hey, I tuned into this show that you do for the first time. Why do you insult people so much by calling them nerds? I'm like,
that's
what?
Not an insult.
No.
What?
A nerd's like the greatest thing you can be.
That is the greatest, that's your badge of honor.
Like what is truly a nerd? It is somebody who does something that maybe other people don't think is cool, that they think is literally so cool, which is the only person that matters.
And they're actually right, and the other guy's stupid because StarCraft's awesome.
I was going to say, I mean, at this point, this is where I do like my mini John the Translator speech, because we're all just like here doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
How sick is that?
It certainly is.
This is where I reference that neat video. It's like, yeah.
Neat video?
Oh my god, somebody's going to tweet that at Artosis.
Yeah.
This is pretty neat. Much like nature and other things.
You see these upgrades going on and off?
There's a lot of them,
funny.
man.
He keeps faking upgrades for Overlord. It's like so funny here.
Like, am I going for it? No.
Yeah.
Yes. No.
By the way, the armory on the way, I do question, is this going to be a mech build here once again? If it is, I think that he has to approach it in a slightly different way than he did in the Overgrowth game. Because Armani did so well in all those defenses. But anyways, here he is, trying to attack into this third base.
Again, even if it is a mech build, it's going to be a little bit of a different style. Going into these Widow Mines,
whoa.
Okay, that was
10 kills!
Not...
Holy crap, that's huge right now.
Man, Widow Mines are good units, man.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I guess just not hold positioning the Zerglings, getting them maybe baited a little bit too far forward.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens, and missing 10 Zerglings at this point. I mean, it's not going to help defend his Liberator harass, but it definitely will matter against this Hellion drop.
It's similar to getting 5 drones, it's a pretty big deal. Anyways, this Hellbat's into the main base. He's got 4 of them here with the medevac, and Armani, that was indecisive for just a moment, and even a moment of indecision can cost you games here in StarCraft 2.
And I mean, Hellbats get healed up. All of those Zergling lives did not, in fact, matter. And this just is going to go from bad to worse as now further Hellbats push into the front.
Yeah, he's trying to hold on. He has enough queens there that he might be able to do so, but these drones are getting toasted at the moment. Ooh, only 3 going down. That could have been worse. The Liberator is everywhere. Oh my god, so many drones going down.
Armani, it's just like you said, he tried to hold on, but he didn't even know that when he wasted all of the Zerglings, he just had to kind of watch them. I'm just quoting Linkin Park at this point. Either way, pretty good Liberator positioning, and yeah, that Queen too far forward once again, and TY just getting value after value.
Yeah, no, he's basically won this game already. This is too much. Yeah, and that's it.
Oh my goodness. Everybody's invited to this barbecue. TY dominant.
You know, this is too bad, too, because we saw Armani defend so brilliantly in Game 1 against a very similar style of play. And here it started off like what TY did different here is he added in 2 Widow Mines early on, and one of those Widow Mines killed 10 Lings, and then he didn't have enough Lings to clear the Hellbats in his main base, which means that he had to start running drones around. He couldn't have his queens in all the right spots. Everything started to spiral out of control, and then the Liberators just, you know, icing on the cake this game as well. So good on TY. He takes on Armani 2-1. But I hope that Armani has gained a lot of fans in the English-speaking audience here today because especially in that Game 1, it was like, wow, this is a great Zerg right here.
Yeah, actually so sick. And even from TY using a much different style, you know, not sticking to those bios, utilizing a lot of those drops and things. I mean, he did in Game number 2, but trying a little bit more of a mech strategy and making it work out. Armani seemed to kind of know basically how to deal with that, especially in Game number 1. But in Game 2, you just saw little tiny mechanics wound up falling apart. We're going to head off to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we end our next Best of 3.
마음이 가는 대로 즐겁고 신나게 쓰자. 캠퍼스 시리즈.
그래서 오늘 두 분이 경쟁을 하는 거예요.
부산 전체를 돌아다니면서 저희가 7개의 시청자 여러분들이 다 뿌리도록 하겠습니다. 4번이요.
운동장.
도쿄, 넌 내 거야, 짱! 4번.
네?
오케이!
정답입니다.
아, 예! 운도 좋아, 운도. 화물 뺏겼다.
정답입니다.
가자.
저희 입수하러 갈게요, 저희는.
둘이서 쓸 수 있어. 귀엽지 않아요? 여러분? 오. 된다. 안녕. 붕어빵 사세요. 이거를 한번 볼까? 지금 나 혼자 신난 거니 혹시? 이거 귀엽다. 찍어도 되나? 진짜 예쁘다 근데.
당신의 꿈은 무엇입니까? 레전드, 경쟁, 노력, 꿈! 여러분들 꿈을 만드셨으면 좋겠습니다. 우리 KT 기가 인터넷 많은 사랑 부탁드립니다.
4년 동안 쉬지 않고 노력과 열정만으로 달동네를 벗어났어요, 정말로. 듣고 계시는 분들도 이렇게 많다라는 게 정말 믿기지가 않아요. 포기하는 순간 나날이 후회하면서 살게 되는 게 아닌가. 초심을 잡는 그런 날이 됐으면 좋겠습니다. KT요 기각!
엉덩이를 들어봐.
이게 내 진심인 거야.
기업 KTO KTO 아프리카 비가 만든 KT 기가 레전드 매치 선수의 9월 선수를 못 합니다. 대표 이상의 완성 최고의 선수.
이런 멤버가 다시 모일 줄은 저도 생각 못했는데 클래스는 어디 가지 않는다는 걸 보여드리겠습니다.
오 드디어 기다렸던 날이 왔습니다. 태평양상이 여기서 만났어요. 이게 이제 몇 년 만입니까? 시작! 치고 들어가는데요. 기드라의 땡이드라의 밀나요 체제 기가 막히게 잡아내면서 이번 경기 승리를 만들어냈습니다. 2027년 만에 맞대결이고 결승전에 올라갈 선수는 누가 될지 기가급 속도로 오고 있어요. 기가급 속도로 김태경 선수가 승을 따내고 대망의 결승전 대결 전설 중에 전설은 누가 될 것인지 이재동 선수예요. 김태경 선수를 만나보겠습니다. 최고의 자리로 우뚝 설 수 있을 것인지 칠러 달립니까 이번에?
진짜 까다롭네요.
네요. 제제 우승객 프로토스 비수 김태경.
땡땡이상이 이렇게 모여가지고 다시 게임 할 수 있다는 것에 너무 감사드립니다.
너는 내 가슴이 떠날 수 없어 난.
KT 기가급 특급 매치 지금부터 시작하겠습니다. 오늘 4강 첫 번째 경기에서부터 시작됩니다. 어떤 경기 펼쳐지게 될지 여러분들 많은 기대 부탁을 드리도록 하겠습니다. 네, 자 연장전 마지막 경기입니다. 마지막 기회입니다. 한 번의 기회. 빅스타즈가 승리를 가져갑니다. 결승전의 티켓은 단 한 장. 런어웨이 팀 대 아프리카 프릭스 레드. 이제 런어웨이가 역전 분위기. 런어웨이가 못 밟아요. 런어웨이 됩니다. 자 이제 결승전 경기만을 남겨두고 있습니다. 자 보여. 둘, 셋, 넷. 진영 무너졌어요. 자, 어디가 들어서? 자, 우승태 BK 스타즈입니다.
직접 이런 부스에 서가지고 우승할 수 있게 돼가지고 정말 기쁘고요.
네, 오늘 정말 멋진 경기 보여준 BK 스타즈 여러분 다시 한번 뜨거운 박수 부탁드리도록 하겠습니다. KT업 기가 감사합니다.
나의 두 눈을 감으면 떠오르는 그 눈동자 자꾸 가슴이 시려서 잊혀지길 바랬어. 꿈이라면 이제 그려놨으면 제발 정말이라 나의 운명인 걸까. Falling you.
Welcome back. Quite a crowd here today, as it should be. GSL Code S round of 32. Just had a very nice macro-esque series, I guess. Well, two macro players going at it, but fast and furious, at least in that last game.
Very true. I guess if you count Hellions as cars, you could probably remake that movie. TY looks pretty good. This is still a very impressive showing in that game number 1 by Armani. Very intelligent play. Looking forward to seeing him a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But we've got to move on to our next two players tonight. First of which will be Trap, guy that haven't really heard of for a while.
Yeah.
But kind of down there.
He's only been playing qualifiers. Like, we just don't really see that much out of him. And again, his team didn't go away, so it kind of makes sense in a way. All the Jin-Air guys are flying under the radar right now because you don't see them as often. Unless they qualify for something, they aren't playing.
Yeah, they're not streaming.
Yeah.
They're
not joining, like, cups and stuff. Like, every other pro gamer right now is putting their name out there a lot, joining a lot of tournaments, trying to make that extra money and stuff. Jin-Air guys, they're all safe, and you know, I mean, they are doing well. Maru and SOS already in the next round. Cure unfortunately fell in that last match. 1-2, so didn't quite make it in the round of 16. Trap here tonight, though, I think he's a pretty big underdog in this group.
Certainly against a guy like Solar. This is a guy that just has exploded these last couple of years. I mean, even at the beginning of Legacy of the Void, he was one of the guys that a lot of people saw and they were like, hey, this guy is actually just so smart and could go all the way, and indeed he has. He's got an SSL championship under his belt. If they gave away golden awards for 3 of every tournament win, he'd have a golden star for all of his dream hacks. This guy has been out there winning a lot. Now he's on Splice, so he's got a lot of sponsorship. He's just in a great spot. So going to be going up against Trap, and certainly a favorite.
I would definitely agree with you on that. Like, Solar is just, I mean, he got 2nd place in WCS Korea last year overall points-wise, and he's a super strong Zerg player. And, you know, he's not really worrying about things too much as he does have a team, so kind of puts him on Trap's level in that regard at least. But kind of interesting how it's on those maps that Trap chose Daybreak. Not the map I would expect for him to choose, but you see what he has in plan here. Trap is off the radar. We haven't seen almost none of his games since this new patch. So your guess is as good as mine with how he's going to perform here tonight.
You heard it here first, guys. I'm smart as Artosis.
Smarter, actually.
Well, at least until we get into the game. But yeah, Trap has a lot of burden on his shoulders. The fate of the Protoss race, not a lot of them left out there. But as we get into this game, get out there, tell your friends, because our second best of 3 is about to get underway. Trap versus Solar.
In the top right, our Protoss hope for today.
Jin Air Green Wings, Trap.
See what he can get done.
Indeed we will. Of course, he'll see that as well. So that's what he's using his eyes for.
Hopefully.
Now we get a chance to check out his opposition, the Zerg player.
Slice, Solar.
Glad you guys committed to like the more ER pronunciation of Solar. I would.
We had a little argument over that because I normally say like Solar.
Yeah, no, that's actually the letter.
He's like, no, it's Solar. I'm like, I don't know about that. I say Solar, and he's like, who says Solar? And I'm like,
you literally know what the letter A says?
Yeah,
you like pull up those A as in Apple videos?
Well, Tasteless, if you're listening to this, Rapids with me on this one.
I'm
Although you won at the end of the day, Tasteless.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's actually his voice, so nobody really gets to argue with that. It's like literally reality.
Okay.
Plenty of people try to argue with reality every day, though.
No, that is true.
All right, so we do have a probe coming over here to the third base. This is probably going to be for a block, but
yeah,
see how hard he commits to it.
Well, you got to see the timing of the third hatch, or if there is a third hatch, because if there is not a third hatch and you're trying to tech, you're just going to die.
Right.
You need to be ready. You need to be on top of that. He hasn't scouted anywhere else, so he's actually. So what that was exactly was checking for a third hatchery before pool, and now he walks up, because even if this was a rush, he'd have enough time to probably defend it. Looks like they're 7-7 overall against each other. Not too surprised. Trap is quite a solid Protoss versus Zerg player.
Yeah, and especially against somebody of Solar's caliber, that actually speaks very well for him, even though, like you said, he's been a little bit off the radar. So here we go. Yeah, just going to actually commit to the pylon block there. Trap is not letting Solar get up as many bases as he wants.
You see this Zealot that's being produced right now? I wonder about this Zealot. Sometimes when you see the Zealot, it's going to be the guy going for quick Stargates, and like he doesn't even want to spend gas on an Adept. Yeah, there it is. So this could be an air toss type of style coming out. Ooh, nice
my
block.
God. All right. Yeah, really heavily committing to this. Now, I mean, that one's going to go down a little bit more quickly because, of course, everything's there to cancel it. And finally, hatchery will go down there, but it's almost the 3-minute mark before it does get placed. So definitely heavily delayed. And like you said, that's Stargate on the way.
Yeah, it's super fast, and he does see it, but that's fine. I mean, Zergs always have their spores up, don't they? Speed on the way. Just droning up is Solar, so he wants to go a little bit later into this game. And I'm excited to see, I think it should be an Oracle popping out of this for Trap. But, I mean, I'm excited to see what he wants to do strategically with this, because there's so many different things that you can do with an Oracle opening. You know, you can go into, like, a very popular thing right now in Korea, actually, is to go Oracle into Glaives. Like, you kind of, with the Stargate, oh my god, the Lings got in! Talk about that other stuff later, because that is a pain.
Yeah, man, you gotta stuff some more donuts down that Zealot's face. He's gotta block a little bit more on that ramp. These Zerglings, they've been the ones on a diet getting their aerobic exercise in there all around the Protoss space, and now that Oracle has to be used defensively.
Yeah, this is pretty annoying for him to have to do, and in fact, the Lings just outrun it. So like, he's using all this Oracle energy. The Oracle isn't going to get really any damage done across the map. If he gets 2 drones, that's pretty solid.
I mean, it would be in the Zerg base by now, but instead it's lower on energy, and it's just now starting its trip out there on the map. Solar already knows what's coming his way. He's going to have Queens in position. Doesn't even need Spores. He's just totally ready for everything that Trap has coming.
Yeah, so the Oracle going to fly in, not see all that much. He saw some Lings going across the map, so that's some good intel, I guess. Does have some units already in position for that, and just 2 more gates in the way, so we still don't know exactly what it is that Trap wants to do strategically.
Yeah, 1 Stargate, not necessarily a complete tell, just adding on that 3rd at this point. Pretty uncontested. Don't really see what Solar's really going for either.
Yeah, it looks like just a kind of standard macro-ish opening. Like, he knows that there's not a lot of gateway units, so the Baneling Nest is going to be a little bit later here. But Ling Bane is going to be kind of the base of this. He could go for Ravagers with that. He could go into Hydras, or could just stay on Ling Bane for a while.
Yeah, he's building like 10 or 11 drones at a time, so that's heavy macro mode here for Solar. He's pretty much said, okay, well, we're kind of skipping this early phase of the game. You know, you did your thing, I did mine, but nice use there of the Oracle.
Yeah, that's really quite good to kill off that drone that wanted to take the 4th base. It slows it down quite a bit.
And now you have to send that super slow Queen all the way out there just to make sure you can throw it up. Or down.
Both work, actually. Both up and down can mean the same thing a lot of the time. Oh my god, he catches another drone. Wow, that's a lot of denials. This Oracle is actually getting some serious work done.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's the Oracle is the version of my casting career. When people tell you you're not going to get a whole lot done, you come out there and you kill 2 drones. They're trying to build hatcheries.
That's exactly what you did. You killed 2 drones out here. Both of them were named Tasteless. One in the ASL, one in the GSL.
Man, there's never coming back.
Okay, so Aspire is on the way, which is kind of interesting. Like, Protoss likes to go for a very ground-pounding army in this matchup, to be able to deal with things like Banelings, like Archons, and Mutas are just so much more mobile, and the fact that he hasn't made additional Phoenixes means that this Spire could catch him off guard a little bit. I don't believe he's actually seen it.
Yeah, he would have to either send that Oracle on in there or maybe move forward with that Observer, but either way, these Zerglings moving forward, not in time to check it out. Okay, just in time to check it out. Does have that hallucinated Phoenix in there.
Yeah, that's pretty important that he does see that. 11 Mutas are on the way, but he started Phoenix production here once again. He might need to get some cannons, place the Mothership core really well and stuff, but as he builds up his Phoenix count a little bit, he can push these back.
What are you up to, Mr. Oracle? Just kind of hanging around, seeing what is being produced, and if you can tell what is being made, like seeing that flood of Zerglings, you can kind of get an idea, okay, well, what's coming up next?
Well, a lot of Lings are out there. Even some more Mutas at the moment. The Oracle kind of on a suicide mission here, tagging those Mutt-Mutts, trying to keep them a little bit busy as these Phoenixes are being built, and here they come now into this 3rd base.
Yeah, the Muta's a little bit less effective than that Oracle at stopping workers from building buildings, but here comes a lot of pressure up at the front, and those Zealot Side Blades are not high enough to stop these Mutas, but there are a few Phoenix out.
Okay, this is a little bit sloppy on that micro. He does have a force field down as the Lings are trying to get in. The Archon finishes, so that'll save him for now. That was kind of sad. Psystorm was almost done, and he had to morph some High Templars. He lost a couple of them as well. And now, of course, the Archon is trapped because Archons can't get out of any wall.
That's like the opposite problem that Zealot had earlier. It's like, well, now he just can't fit through. Now, perfect micro here for the Phoenixes would mean that they're able to deal with the Mutalisks. So Solar's just going to respect that.
Yeah.
Head on out of the base.
Yeah, Trap's micro there was actually really, really good. A lot of times the Mutas just turn so switchly that you kind of get screwed. But look at this. He's trying to break in right now, utilizing these mutas to chop down some of the Zealots. But as the Phoenixes come out, he's taking some damage.
Oh, Archon hits. You definitely have to watch out for those. One muta going down already. Moving forward, those mutas are actually pretty clumped up. That Archon's getting a lot of damage down, and it survives.
Oh, man, these mutas are toast now. That's enough Phoenixes that you can definitely chase these all the way back and kill them off. So Solar not going to have really any army anymore.
Yep, especially not any Mutalists once those Phoenix catch up to them. They are toastus.
I wish that Mutas were toastus against me, Rapid. I have a hard time. But it looks like he wanted to do a little bit of a drop. By the way, this is a transition from Solar. He's taking a 5th base, but he's going into Hydra Speedbane. And that can be pretty good against this type of composition. The one thing I think he doesn't realize that there's Psystorm out, because actually like a Roach-based army I almost feel like might do a better job. If you have Psystorm, mutas die very quickly to that, whereas if your opponent doesn't have Psystorm and instead is focusing on Archons, Hydras really can plow through those Archons quite quickly. So just kind of an interesting difference in these unit comps that we see.
Yeah, and still keeping up with the Phoenix. Does have a lot of them left over. Sometimes if you lose a lot of them, well, then you just don't have them as a very threatening, threat. But at least now we're actually starting to see a fleet beacon on the way.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to try to transition into carriers. That's kind of a popular thing. Turtle on 4 bases as Protoss try to take a 5th and go into carriers while you kind of kill everything that comes at you, but
is clearly getting Phoenix range upgrade.
Yeah.
Definitely not. All right, well, here comes all those Banelings. He will now see the storms out there, which will force him to pull back. Still a few left, and this is definitely slowing down Solar, but he's still got a lot left over. Big storms on that Hydra clump as they try to press forward.
Yeah, this is not working out right now for Trap. He is getting plowed, and that is it. GG. Yeah, that was... The mutas actually did some really good work there, I have to say. They didn't kill a whole lot, but they kind of forced some of the High Templars that he was sitting there with. High Templars are a lot of gas. He went into Storm. If you try to go for that Hydra Bane stuff and he still had those initial 4 High Templars, you're going to get wrecked. The Psystorm is going to eat through everything. But he forced him into Archons and stuff like that. He kind of slowed him down, made him spend a lot of money on Phoenixes. Yeah, he ended up losing the entire air fleet, but he kept him busy. Trap never got to do any counter damage, and the tech transition from Solar was really, really nice.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he needed when. Very well executed. That having to morph those first 2 High Templar into an Archon, too, is a little bit of the emergency. I got to save myself kind of play, and means a whole lot less storms. So Solar coming out on top in game number 1.
Yeah, very well played by Solar. And I don't think that Trap was bad there at all. Did get caught off guard slightly by the mutas, but dealt with them pretty well. But anyways, I do wonder what he was doing with that fleet beacon.
Yeah, what is the thought there? Do you really want to switch into carriers at that point?
It's a great finishing unit. You already have Psystorm out in 4 bases. If you hold on to all that and go carriers, Zerg's pretty dead.
Well, maybe we'll get a chance to find out as we get into our second game. Trap versus Solar coming up. Down here, the blue player, it's
Air Green Wings. Trap.
You gotta say the team name first. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Admiral Akbar is disappointed right now. But either way.
Well, the way that they're monetizing monetizing Star Wars right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Jyn Air went to Disney and wanted Akbar in the next movie to say it's a Jyn Air Green Wings Trap. I feel like they do that. You know what I mean?
Admiral Akbar, you can always have that guy in no matter how many movies you make.
Yeah.
You ever think about that? What if they just...
You saw this new one, right? Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You talked about it.
Yeah,
I love seeing that ship, man. Full of the Akbars, whatever, the fish aliens, whatever they are. So
man,
cool.
I used to know that. Oh my god, I'm losing my nerd card already. Big fan of the foreigners in the audience. Thanks for coming down, guys. Always great to have a wide variety of people represented down here at the Freak Up Studio.
Yeah, sick audience today.
Yeah, these are snow nerds, man. They walked all the way through here. They got their snowshoes on. They're trudging through the subway. Everybody's like, "Why are you wearing snowshoes in the subway?" But they did make it all the way down here, so
they
thanks for
can
coming down.
stomp on some nerds in their path and get
true,
down
man.
here. I mean, this is
pick those things out from between your toenails. And then you take their ladder points.
gross.
Either way, still going to see a commitment to denying any early third bases from coming down. Instead, actually a little bit of an outplay, but that does force Solar to put his third hatchery in a more vulnerable position.
Yeah, it is the kind of more forward spot, which can sometimes mean that the Zerg wants to rally in and be a little bit aggressive early on. Hard to say exactly, but just seeing that third hatch will put Trap at ease and allow him, if he so wishes, to go for a tech building immediately here. Probably will be. I mean, that's pretty standard. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Twilight coming down. Still a very popular way to play PvZ in Korea at the moment.
All right, so already in game number 1, we had started to see some interesting things happen. Trapped is really committing to delaying that third base. We'd already seen maybe a little bit more Zerglings being produced, but at this point, speed coming up, third base down at the time Solar wanted it to be. See how that changes things here in game 2.
Well, he's definitely going to get his economy rolling. That's a fact. Dept coming in, seeing what he can scout off before that speed upgrade finishes and he loses his life. Just going to run in, maybe snipe a drone if he's lucky. Solar probably won't let him.
Nope, going to morph that already. And there we go.
It's like, where'd he go? Oh, there he is.
I mean, imagine as a drone, right? Like, you're part of the Overmind. You don't really do a whole lot of thinking to yourself, and you see this thing coming into your base. And it's like, all right, it's shooting at me. You have basic instincts to say, okay, well, I'm about to die. And then it just disappears. Like, there's that quote about, any sufficiently advanced technology being indistinguishable from magic. I mean, that's going to blow your little drone mind.
It could. I mean, you've watched Westworld, though, right?
I have.
Like, maybe some of these drones are conscious and they're thinking their own thoughts. They have memories the last time that they made an extractor or something like that.
Yeah, you go back and watch the replay, and there's just, like, drones moving without players controlling them, and you're like, oh, my God.
Well, they do auto mine, so I guess,
I guess that is true.
It's going to always happen, but
they do that thing I tell them to do.
Like, this drone isn't supposed to be over here.
Well, that's the difference between like Brood War and StarCraft 2. They just gain sentience, so they automatically hatch and immediately go to mine. It's as if they know.
Definitely, StarCraft 1 units don't have any brain. That's
no
for
way,
sure.
Man. Those are the dumbest units. That's why you got to be twice as smart to play that game.
Oh, is that right?
Just had to get my shill in there for a second. Either way, Zerglings up at the front will not be able to slip through. So already we're seeing tighter walls, better defenses, and nothing too cheeky going to get through that.
A nice little denial on the initial probe, though, slowing down this third base just slightly. I guess that's just kind of the to and fro of this matchup. If you can snipe this, when your opponent's taking bases basically in PvZ. So always a good move.
Now we have 2 oracles. All right, so if at first you don't succeed, build another one and see what you can do with that one. So able to just get a little bit of harassment, maybe tax the multitasking of Solar to defend that and see what's up with this probe at the 3rd. Well, I guess it's the 4th now.
The Oracles continuing to fly around. The Roach Warren on the way and quite a few Lings being made. Those Lings are going to be more for defense. With the double Oracle, this is scary. Even 5 Adepts without Glaives with the 2 Oracles on top definitely can deal a lot of damage very quickly. The Queens converging on them, though. Very good moves by Solar. Going to be able to zone those out for now.
All right, well, a sizable force being built up here, at least for the early game. Lots of Queens pushing forward there, just really trying to either get the creep spread going on in a very aggressive way or find out those Oracles, which will be circumventing them all the way to the back of the natural.
Yeah, this is a really good move. He's bringing the Queens out. So much of this defense, because he made 2 Oracles, it kind of slows down his other tech. And with the Roaches in here, Oracles can defend against a Roachling attack really well. Those plus Overcharge plus some Lings, or whatever gateway units you have rather, will hold off Ling Roach very, very well. But with the Queens marching across the map very slowly right now, this is a scary attack. He can absolutely lose his third base.
Oh, and it definitely reminds me a lot of you know, the game losing moment from game number 1, where you just start to build up too big of a force to deal with. Now, of course, no Banelings this time around. Just going to be using those Ravagers to push forward, break a few of those force fields, and start to put the pressure on.
Wow, this is really good so far by Trap. He's killed off quite a few Zerglings at almost no cost, but the rest of the attack is coming in, and this is going to be super hard for him to hold. He's warped in 3 Stalkers to help Micro against this. Ooh, those Biles coming down very strongly, throwing down all of his overcharges.
Yeah, and they are not going to last very much longer. All 3 of those pylons about to fall, and this third base.
Dude, he's making a Void Ray right now. That's kind of one of these emergency units that you see people make sometimes. Good force fields, though. Trying to pick off some of these queens so his air units can have some effect.
Yeah, that transfuse energy just too high up there. Those queens healed right back up to full. Already 11, 12, and even more probes going down. They're not even going to make their way back into the main. This is a lot of pressure. Can Trap stabilize?
No, well, he's losing the third base, and that is a really terrible spot to be in. This type of rush can be very hard to hold, as we see.
Well, and even this Void Ray coming out, there's 4 queens left, and he's going to have to not only avoid the queens, but also the corrosive biles coming down. But it's at least stem the tide for now.
Another Void Ray on the way. Charge gets started as well from Trap. And this charge upgrade makes me feel like he's going to try an all-in as a counter. Like, to get charge right now, he doesn't have the type of economy that can really support Speed Zealots as a part of a defensive composition. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he can make something happen with that. But Solar's in a great spot.
It's the People's Revolt there. The drone's coming out and helping deal with those Adepts warped in is a kind of a desperate measure to draw Solar's attention back home. He's warping in more Adepts.
That's cute. I like that move a lot.
That drone, you can tell the Overmind is definitely in control there. That's where the Agent Smith just takes him over. There's no way he would be there of his own volition, but he gets to be the drone that scouts those Adepts coming in.
Just chill, I'm busy. Queen's going to try to take out these Adepts, but this is some solid damage, actually, that Trap is getting. I'm very impressed with the fact that he's able to kill off 10 drones somehow with absolute minimal forces.
Yeah, those are the little Adepts that could, man. Climbing all the way up the hill. They made it into the base, took out a few drones, and it successfully sort of pulled Solar's attention back and said, hey, focus on your base, don't lose too much. And now we'll see how much damage that really did to Trap and what he can do in the situation he's in.
Well, it is tough. He's going for Storm, which actually kind of goes away from my thought that this might be an all-in. He has retaken his third base. So it looks like he wants to go into like a very defensive style. This type of unit composition that Solar has is really strong and hard to fight against, but it has to attack you. It has to actually end up killing you. You know, the Banelings are not long-term units. You have to gain value out of them. So if he can get off the right storms and have like really perfect defense, this is a game where he can come back.
Absolutely. I mean, he is going to be working on now a more protected third base up to the 3 o'clock position, and even getting some value out of those Void Rays, which did help push things back, but that's literally so many Banelings, Artosis.
There's quite a few Banelings, indeed. And they're about to have speed, so that's definitely a very big deal here. And Trap is actually moving forward, which is like he just saw that, right? Like, am I crazy? He saw that there's like a ton of Banelings out. He has to sit back in a very defensive spot, and he has to hit miraculous storms.
Yeah, I mean, still getting some value from this harassment, but at some point, Solar's just gonna be like, you're gonna reach that critical mass for his army and just be like, okay, well, I can just kill you now. So does have to be careful. This harassment has already actually been pretty effective.
Yeah.
16 more drones
That's crazy.
going down.
I'm unbelievably impressed with Trap that he's managed to eke out all these drones with almost nothing harassing. Couple oracles and, like 4 adepts total killed so much over here, which puts him into a spot, again, where if he can just storm this all to hell, he can win this game.
Oh, man, we're going to need to see some of those controller storms where they just go exactly where they need to be. So many storms all on top of the Banelings, and only 2 are left over at the end.
Great pullback on those Zealots. The Banelings are almost all completely gone. The Ravager is going to continue to push forward here, though, and they definitely can do a lot of work with the Queens backing them up, but with more Zealots coming in and an Immortal coming down for a flank, he could be in trouble.
Yeah, lots of value there from those Void Rays as well, and it looks like Trap might actually be able to deal with this.
This is fantastic play. He is going to slaughter this off, hold his third base, and GG Trap takes game number 2. I am getting chills. I am so impressed. The 2 Adepts in the main base, the 2 Adepts warped in at that possible 4th location. The fact that those 2 Oracles then got 16 kills and came back, like, Trap was so patient. Like, he did not panic when he lost a lot of probes and his 3rd base and most of his army. Like, so many bad things happened to Trap this game, but he kept his head in the game, did some damage, and held on against, you know, he looked at the unit composition and rightfully said, I just need to hold on right now.
You gotta know, Trap has played so many games. We were actually talking about this earlier, where he just dies from that position that he's in over and over again. But maybe one game he survives. He's like, oh, well, that's how I do it. And that's how he does it again, able to stabilize and survive, and now bring him to match point to make it into either the winner's match or the loser's match. Well, it's up to him to happen here in our third game.
I'm really inspired right now by just how strong of a, because that timing attack by Solar was so nice. So great job by Trap. He has a chance here to go on to that winner's match.
Well, that's definitely where he wants to go. For Solar, though, his high hopes have been all year long with success after success. We'll see if he can have